privilege and honor to welcome Dr. Vinay Sahasrabuddhe, who is the embodiment of intellectual rigor, political acumen, cultural leadership, and are committed to public service with deep roots in India's national ideology. Dr. Sahasrabuddhe is a distinguished political scholar, senior BJP leader, and cultural ambassador of India. He served as a member of parliament from 2016 to 22 representing Maharashtra and was the national vice president of Bharatiya Janata Party from 2014 to 20. Since 2018, he has led the Indian Council for Cultural Relations as its president, contributing significantly to India's cultural diplomacy. Dr. Sahasrabuddhe is known for his intellectual contributions and strategic roles in BJP, including chairing the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Education, Women, Children, Youth and Sports. His political journey began with Akhil Bharatiya Vidyarthi Parishad, where he served as a full-time activist and national secretary. He played a vital role in BJP's think tank and was an instrument in training BJP ministers and shaping key policies. He has authored several influential books, including Beyond a Billion Ballot and The Innovation Republic, which highlighted governance innovations under Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi. Presently, he is the Vice Chairman of Rambhau Mahalgi Prabodhini, a research and training academy for elected representatives and a social activist. His contribution spans includes politics, academia, and cultural leadership, making him a key figure in contemporary Indian public life. So, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to welcome Dr. Vinay Sahasrabuddhe.
Sir, namaste. You are most welcome. We can see you. If you speak, I'll let you know if you are audible.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. I hope I'm audible, Vikrantji.
Yes, you're most audible, sir. Perfect.
It's a great pleasure to be addressing you, although I really feel very bad that I'm not able to be there physically, which was earlier planned, but certain things came in my way and I was not able to be over there. But nonetheless, I'm very happy to be with you, to be having some conversation, some sharing of thoughts with you. And I recognize the affectionate invitations which I keep getting from Dr. Vikrant Tomarji. And now that he is sitting in the company of luminaries like Dr. R. Balasubramaniam and Nivedita Bhideji, addressing all of you becomes a great joy, a great matter of pleasure as well. I'm happy that many in the corporate world are now discussing Seva, Paramo, Dharma in the context of corporate social responsibility. And as we know, the legislation recently completed one full decade. And it is high time that we look back and take stock of the situation as to what were the objectives behind the CSR and whether the CSR objectives are being served or not. Let me at the outset share my understanding of Seva. I believe Seva is not just serving somebody else, but inbuilt, inherent into the concept of Seva, it's serving yourself as well. Because when you go out, when you reach out, when you see the situation, when something makes you a little disturbed, when you are sensitized about certain issues, certain problems, certain crises in the society, and that motivates you to work for, it is also an enhancement of your own consciousness. And therefore, Seva is not simply kind of paramartha. There is some element of swartha in it as well. And there has to be, and we have to appreciate that it also serves your own being. And in that sense, I believe if we look at Seva and in the larger context of, or in the particular context of CSR, we will be able to grasp the real purpose behind or the core of the idea behind the corporate social responsibility. Today, after 10 years, if I may say so, that while there are umpteen number of examples of small and big corporate organizations, including some of the officials over there, reaching out to the deprived sections of the society, underprivileged sections of the society, or people working in the form of maybe a voluntary organization or a foundation or an NGO and extending every possible help. This I am completely aware of. But there are, and I'm afraid, a large chunk of organizations who consider that CSR is just about writing a check. Of course, economic support, financial support is very critical, and the social service people will certainly be indebted to all those who provide financial support. But that is not the only thing, because there are many other things also that have crept into. There are many corporate organizations who have their own foundations and they write a check to their own foundation. Of course, they are also doing noble work. I don't doubt that. But that becomes more of a domestic affair, and the larger objective of reaching out to every section of the society, especially the deprived sections of the society, perhaps is not served. And therefore, I would emphasize that the real meaning of CSR, as I understand, social responsibility, is about your participation in the larger societal affairs. And this participation is in every possible way. Of course, financial, economic support is a key element in that, and that is the idea, or that is the core of the title being given as corporate social responsibility. People expect, the government expect that the corporate should come out and support. That is, of course, required. But along with financial or economic support, there has to be some kind of participatory involvement, participatory role. And when I say participatory, it is multidimensional. When you physically participate in any Seva work, you also get emotionally involved and intellectually aligned with the mission, with the work that is being carried out. And all these three things are important, because when you physically go at a particular point in a particular organization, in a particular area, naturally you try to identify yourself with that situation. At the same time, your emotional involvement, because when you see the things, you realize how bad or otherwise the things are, and what kind of things are really missing in the developmental aspect of that particular section of the society or that region. And of course, intellectual participation, because there are many policy issues that are required, and maybe the voluntary organization people may not have the intellectual wherewithal to suggest any kind of policy amendments or policy formulations in that particular given situation. And in all these things, I believe in all these areas, corporates definitely can play a role which will be more vital and which will be more beneficial for the entire society. And therefore, I think the real portent of the concept of corporate social responsibility is participation, which will help us identify ourselves with the situation and ensure our physical, first, emotional, and intellectual participation as well. In that context, let me also suggest that corporates can give to the voluntary organizations, and in return, voluntary organizations also can offer certain things to the corporates. It is not, and it need not be just a one-way traffic. For example, the fund of experience that the grassroots level workers gain, there are many things which even the corporates perhaps can learn from, but they would be able to learn if they rub shoulders, if they join hands, if they spend some time, and that alone will have that exchange of ideas, views, experiences, and everything. At the same time, when corporates get involved into these CSR activities physically as an individual, maybe senior officials or even workers at particular level, I think they are able to provide some suggestions, provide some solutions, and share some new technologies that corporates are using for their purpose. Maybe these technologies will come to some help to the voluntary sector also, to the Seva people as well. And in that context, I believe that we can perhaps also think about and graduate to the level of corporate knowledge responsibility. If we share our knowledge, if we share our management practices, If we share our new technologies, that will be extremely beneficial for all the Seva workers, voluntary workers. And therefore, I believe it is high time that we think about not just corporate social responsibility, or even if under the corporate social responsibility, consider that corporate knowledge responsibility is inherent to the idea of corporate social responsibility. Lastly, let me also suggest that uh, the entire struggle is between few of us who are lucky enough, fortunate enough to have certain things in our lives, and there are several others who are not so fortunate. So the tug of war, or rather the conflict, is between people who are fortunate and people who are not so fortunate. And there is a story in our Puranas which is about a bird, which is a very unique bird, which has one body, but it has two heads. Its name is Bharunda. It's hypothetical, certainly not a real bird. And the Bharunda has one lucky mouth and the other mouth is unlucky. So whenever the bird moves from one branch of tree to the other, the lucky mouth always comes across very lucid, eatable, and properly ripen fruits. Whereas the unlucky mouth faces always rotten fruits. So naturally, the unlucky mouth tries to have some share or appease the lucky mouth to share some portion of the good fruits with him. But the lucky one is also egoistic. And he keeps on saying, look, I am lucky by birth and you are unlucky by birth, so I cannot help you. Unfortunately, at one fine morning or not so fine morning, the bird, or especially the unlucky mouth, comes across a fruit which is poisonous. And therefore, the lucky mouth also realizes that if the unlucky one eats the same fruit, since the body is the same, both of us are going to die. And therefore, he tells him that don't eat it. And now it is the time of the unlucky mouth to tell his lucky sibling that what can I do? I cannot help. I believe the message, the moral of the story is clear enough. Thank you very much.
That was very profound, sir. Thank you very much. And so profoundly, you mentioned that we stand for each other, we stand with each other, and together we prosper or we perish. Thank you very much for invoking, along with corporate social responsibility, corporate knowledge responsibility. I join here with all the dignitaries present here to thank you and that you could take out your time. And we knew how much back and forth your schedule happened during this time, but still you could make it. We are indebted, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.